We are on the record with file 245015-FH and 2539-FH. Could you state your name for the record?
Alexei Johnson.
Thank you. This is the date and time set for sentencing. Ms. Constantine, an opportunity to
Your Honor, we have no additions or corrections.
Mr. Johnson.
Your Honor, no additions or corrections, and I have had the opportunity to review the pre-sentence.
And Mr. Johnson, have you had an opportunity to review the pre-sentence report?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any additions or corrections?
No.
Anything before sentencing? Ms. Constantine.
No, Your Honor, for defer to the court.
Anything before sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor, I will point out that my client was a resident October 10 of 2024, but because he's on parole, he will receive no credit for that time that he spent in jail. But I'd ask the court to consider it when making its determinations. I'd also ask that, and I'll get this person, I just met Mr. Johnson a few weeks ago. I wasn't the lawyer who began this matter. He'd already pled, and we've only had a small time to spend together. But when you look at the charges and you look at his record, that's not the person that's before me. He's a mild, appropriate, soft-spoken gentleman who's always treated me with respect and consideration. It's obvious that when he's on the streets and he's without assistance, he resorts to other things to do what he feels he needs to do. But I'd ask the court to understand that this seems to be a situation driven by other issues. I assume substance abuse, I'm assuming maybe mental health issues, but he made the mistake, I think in this case, doing probably the worst thing you could do in these times, and that is set something off in a store with people under these current situations where we live in this country. So, but I asked the court to consider that this man, he just isn't the guy that you'd expect. He wasn't foaming at the mouth and didn't have the horns on him that you read his report and you say, what is he thinking? He's a different guy. And we're asking the court to consider that he has issues, that whatever sentence the court requires of him to perform, we're asking that appropriate programming be part of the sentence, if possible. And I'll sit down and be quiet, because I know Mr. Johnson has a couple things he'd like to say to the court. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything you'd like to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. Hopefully by the end of this speech, you can come to an understanding about how I came to be here today. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize to the court, my family, and everyone who looks to me as a loved one. What I did was foolish, and I take full responsibility for my actions. Even though there was never truly an explosive, I thank God no one was hurt. But you have to understand, these were the actions of someone who was not well. I was sick and suffering from many afflictions at the time. I only know this now because it was past time I started being real about myself and my conditions. I have a lot to say, so please bear with me because there are things you need to know. I've been battling addiction issues with drugs and alcohol for years. I've just had too much pride to admit it. I lied to myself and said that I had it under control and that my usage really wasn't an issue. But when I look back, every single time I've gotten into trouble, I've been under the influence of drugs and alcohol, and this time is no different. I had been up for over a week on meth when I committed these crimes. As you know, being up for that long is enough to warp your mind by itself, but that was only part of the problem. As it turns out, I have serious mental health problems, and this explains why I have stints of irrational criminal behavior. I've been diagnosed by Health West with PTSD and anxiety, and I was just recently diagnosed with bipolar, schizophrenia, and suspected of having multi-personality disorder. All of these mental conditions can cause self-destructive behavior, but coupled with heavy drug use, it was a recipe for disaster. It is necessary for you to know the conditions and events that were taking place in my life at the time for you to understand why I committed these crimes. So please let me explain. We had recently fell on extremely hard times. It seemed like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. I had recently got laid off my job. My girlfriend got into an accident that nearly killed her and totaled her car. The lights were shut off, the other bills were piling up, we didn't have any food in the house, and so many other things. I can go on and on and on. All this coupled with relationship issues and me not being able to provide for my family put me in an extremely low spot. So low, in fact, I had thoughts of taking my own life. Everything was falling down around me. I had this all-consuming feeling of doom, like I was gonna lose everything if I didn't act now. So between the unchecked mental health problems, the drugs and alcohol, and being up for so long, all the stress caused me to snap and have a complete mental breakdown. It is believed I was in a manic state of psychosis when I committed these crimes. I should have been admitted to a psychiatric hospital, but I had no idea the seriousness of my conditions. I truly felt like I was doing the only thing I could to fix everything, but all I really did was take myself away from the very people I was trying to provide for. I stand before you today, a changed man. Over the last year I've been incarcerated, I've gotten the help I need to address the real factors that caused me to get in trouble. I'm working to guarantee I never end up in this kind of situation again. The biggest help by far has been my new mental health medication. Since I've been on proper meds this past year, my whole pattern of thinking and behaving has changed. It's like night and day, the difference being comparable to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I've arranged to continue to work with Health West upon my release and attend therapy. This will ensure we keep a close eye on my mental condition and ensure I get the proper help I need if I ever start the down spiral again. I also plan on being an advocate for mental health awareness in the community, so people can get the help they need before they end up like me. Next, no matter what happens here today, I'm going to check myself into rehab. I'm going to fight my substance abuse issues head on because they've been a problem in my life for far too long. I have several loving family members who happily agreed to be my sponsors in case I need support. And lastly, but definitely not least, I have a guaranteed full-time job waiting on me at West Michigan Mental Services. So as you can see, Your Honor, I've already started taking the steps necessary to ensure that I once again become a functional, productive member of our community. I now throw myself at the mercy of the courts. I ask you to please forgive me, and I beg you not to punish me any further for acts I committed in my fit of temporary insanity. Again, it is imperative that you know I did not have an explosive. It was a smoke device used to cause a diversion so I could run out the door with a cart full of merchandise. Looking back, it is one of the dumbest things I've ever done, and I truly am sorry. But again, I wasn't in my right state of mind. I know my record is bad, but now we know why, and I've gotten the help I need to ensure I don't get into any more trouble. What I needed was help with my mental health and addiction issues, not more incarceration. If anything, may I humbly suggest recovery court and treatment so I can continue to get the help I need and we can keep an eye on my condition. Just please don't keep me from my family any longer. I've already been incarcerated for a full year. I'm begging you to please give me one shot to prove I'm a better man. And if I mess up at all, I invite you to throw the book at me. I pray you find it in your heart to give me the chance to return home and be the man everyone knows I can be. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Your Honor, if I could briefly, I want to make sure that restitution is ordered, no matter what the sentence is in, with regard to both locations. It's $753.10 to Walmart,
$753.10.
to Walmart under the case that ends in 15, and in the case that ends in 39, it's $1,177.45 to Meijer. And Judge, I have to respond only because I wrote this case, especially the explosive one, and he underestimates himself really with the court because this is a very calculated incident. And multiple people went to the hospital for breathing problems. This is not a smoke bomb, this is a chemical bomb, a device. I mean, hazmat showed up. I mean, there are all kinds of costs to the community and to the store because of this. And I think with him being on parole, that the recommendation of 76 months to life in prison is appropriate.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, I always give the defendant the last word since the prosecutor has added some stuff. You're allowed, Mr. Johnson, to, not this Johnson, that Johnson. He gets the last word. If you want anything to say other than what you've already said, you may, but with the restitution, I have to ask, is there an objection to the restitution, or is the restitution agreed upon?
We do not object to the restitution.
You do not object. All right. Anything else you'd like to say before sentencing?
Once again, that I truly am sorry, and I'm not the person that I was back then. I have serious mental health problems, and that caused me to be in a state of manic psychosis. I was not myself at all, in any way, shape, or form. Like Mr. Johnson said, I'm not the person that I was back then.
Thank you. Have is two files. File 24515-FH be the sentence of the court. That is for the retail fraud, fourth degree. $24 months to 40 years at the Michigan Department of Corrections with no credit for any time served, because this must be served consecutive and after anything that you serve on your parole violation. $68 state charge, $130 crime victim fund, $450 court cost. As to file 2539-FH, which is the retail fraud and the explosive, they're both life offenses. I look back at the history in this case, and when you're doing retail frauds, it hurts the community. Basically, because prices go up, they lose inventory, and we as a society pay for that. But there's not like an assaultive component to that. It usually is you go in, you take, you leave, and we suffer as a community. As to charge 2 in this case, there was an explosive device placed. Now granted, it wasn't a blow-up bomb, but it was a chemical that affected several people that were in the store. Those people had to go to the hospital because of this chemical that was inside that. So now we have upped it from a retail fraud where we do affect the community to a retail fraud with an explosive device or a chemical device that now just not only affected the whole community, but affected a lot of people in the area who had to go to the hospital. So it is, and I look to see where are we at in this case. You were paroled on February 8th of 2024. This occurred on September 24th of 2024. Not even 7 months. I mean, it wasn't even a year later that we're now back doing the same exact thing. As to file 2539-FH, $136 state charge, $130 crime victim fund, $753.10 to Walmart, $1,177.45 to Meijer, $450 court cost, $60 months to 50 years at the Michigan Department of Corrections on charge 1 and charge 2. These charges must be served consecutive to anything you got on parole, but concurrent with file 245015-FH. Probation, did I miss anything on those?
No, Your Honor.
You have the right to file an application for leave to appeal your conviction and sentence. If you are financially unable to afford an attorney, one would be appointed for you at public expense. You have 42 days from today's date to appeal.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.